Welcome to the Lego Creatives talk show. Today on the topic of UX and UI for digital contracts. UX is user experience, UI is user interaction. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you need to stay because I have a really special guest who is going to tell you everything about those techniques from design that we can use today for drafting contracts, documents, policies that you can use for printed documents, but also for digital documents. So I will bring to the show in just a moment our special guest. You probably know who she is because we've been promoting it a little bit. She's a lawyer, a legal designer. She's a UX researcher based in Panama. She has been working using design techniques for many years now, and she's been able to develop a really niche practice as a lawyer using those techniques from design as well as the methodology of user research to really create a new type of experience for contracts and policies, especially for e-commerce platforms, so she can better ensure legal compliance and also increase client pride. And when we talk about client pride, like, it's proven. This week, she just released on her LinkedIn some insights from the research she did of her last project and the feedback from the users, which is incredible. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more about UX and UI, come join live and tell your friends. We have Melissa Saucedo who's joining the show. Hi, Melissa, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Tessa. Really great to be here. I'm super excited about this talk.
Thank you,
How are
Melissa,
you?
for being here. Melissa is going to present herself in just a moment. But before she does, I see Isabel is already online. This is so great. Thanks, Isabel, for being here. And let me check here with the live attendees. I want to make sure that the live attendees are hearing us and seeing us. So please, please, please let us know in the chat. Okay. I see here we have the live starting. This is great. We have some live viewers already. Please let us know in the chat that you can see us, hear us. We have OG who is there. This is great. Thanks for being live. And tell your network because you're gonna learn a lot today. So Melissa is gonna introduce herself a little bit, who she is, what she does, before we dive into the talk.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. I am Melissa Saucedo. I am a lawyer, a legal designer based in Panama City. I have a background in UX design and research. And also, my past years, I was an in-house lawyer for bank and corporate industry. And I have to say that this transition that I've made in the last year has been awesome. I mean, I can definitely say that I found a place where I can apply, like, legal knowledge combined with creativity. And this is just amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Melissa, for being here and for the work that you do. It is so true that every legal piece of information can quickly become major source of conflict or misunderstanding, but it could also be a tool to increase trust, transparency, and also bring more engagement. And what's the difference is really about your capacity to design it. And Melissa is going to share some of the strategies she's using in terms of UX and UI. So let's dive into it. To get things started, Melissa, please, let's just discuss what's UX, what's UI, and how can it be useful for legal professionals when drafting digital contracts and policies.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, we need to understand that UX, user experience, is a process. It is a process that help us identify user pain points, needs, and when we get that information, okay, and we build prototypes that are going to be tested, validated, until then we can actually create a service or a product, right? But within this whole world of UX, we have a special field of expertise that is called user interface design, which refers with everything that has to do with the visual part and the interactive part. And by visuals, we mean the personality, the branding, all that has to do with the look and feel of the platform or a website, right, we are redesigning for. And by interaction design, we mean everything that a user must do with your platform to get the information they want or to accomplish the objective of visiting your platform. Okay, so when we bring these elements into the contracting field, to the legal field, we can actually create engaging documents. I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, first of all, contracts are interfaces. They are ways to interact and communicate with people. Okay. And secondly, people don't actually read documents; they scan. So we need to start doing scannable documents. Okay. So when we add all these elements of this process of understanding needs, of creating documents based on real needs, or not in our point of view, but in user needs, and when we add these interactive elements into the digital document, we can actually create a better experience. We can actually make law more accessible. And in that way, we are improving users' lives. So, I mean, if I can say like how this, if I can say how we can benefit from all this process, I will say we have to take advantage of the digital world because it offers us a lot of options to make documents interactive, to make them fun, easy to understand, visually pleasant. Well, and in that way, we can empower users, and empowerment is making them access to law, is making them understand their rights. And when you understand the rights, I mean, of course, you can improve a user's life in a big way. So this is.
Thanks so much, Melissa. And thanks to all of the live attendees. Let us know where in the world you are tuning in from. I see we have Cecilia live from Buenos Aires, Argentina. We have here Cynthia. So happy you got to give us some feedback here. Where are you tuning in from? I think you're in the US, but I'm not sure where exactly. Please let us know. We have a LinkedIn user. I think this is Isabel who's saying so true. People are scanning. No, there's no one who's reading documents. When you think about it, just yourself, who is really reading? We're just trying to find the information that we need in this moment. And when we are having to deal with a long technical contract where everything looks the same, users are a little bit desperate as to where is the information they need. And so I think, Melissa, you already talked a lot about the benefits of UX, UI, but maybe we could talk a little bit about some of the difficulties if we want to go dig a little bit deeper into the problem. If we're not using those techniques, what is likely to happen with users? And as a lawyer, when you're serving your client, you're serving them with a document, it can be a contract, a policy. If we're not using those techniques, what could happen? And what are the problems that may be created by sticking to the traditional approach that is, the very technical legalese, black and white document? We'd like to talk a little bit about that with us, Melissa.
Yeah, well, one of the greatest things of implementing this process into contracts is that we can address the most common mistakes or the difficulties that we have with traditional drafting, which are, as you said, legalese, redundancies, complicated and complex language and complex way to communicate. And I think that when we do traditional law, I mean, sometimes maybe lawyers are not quite thinking mindfully about what they are drafting. But when you take the time to go through this process, you can actually realize all the things that are making users more difficult to understand the information that you want to communicate. Because at the end, a contract, as I said before, is a way of communicate something. You want your client to understand that in order to engage with you in a business. But if you're making that process difficult, I mean, how can you get a great outcome? I mean, it takes a lot of time for them to. They have to hire lawyers to get the information more easy to understand, and this is why implementing this in the digital world present us a new way of communication, a new way to make law accessible. Because as I said before, yes, we unconsciously scan online interfaces. And when this is a process, this is our brain telling us to be more efficient with our time and to try to find information that matters to us and try to find it in the quickest way. So having this knowledge in account, we can actually start like, okay, making legal interfaces as contracts are scannable, usable, efficient, and the most important thing, that the user can feel confident about what they are signing or accepting. I think that this is our main goal as lawyers, should be, directed in that main goal. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Users don't read the scan. The objective is to. I mean, you mentioned something really interesting, and I think the audience. I don't know if the audience picked on that one. Like, users will not need to hire lawyers if you use those techniques. So, what is the role of a lawyer? I mean, you've been designing, I think, yourself the new contracts. So it would be interesting to know first, what are the things legal professionals need to know to use UX and UI techniques effectively? And is it really possible to do that as a lawyer?
yeah, well, first of all, research. I mean, research is such an important part, I mean, of every project we're going to start. Is like the key for you to accomplish a great outcome with your contract. Because if you don't do research, if you just go with your gut or your point of view, I mean, maybe you are not going to address the problem, or maybe you're not going to reduce the amount of claims that a company has been having because of their bad contracting experience. So research, how to perform a well done research, for me is something very, very, very important. And this is like the first step if you want to to start redesigning contracts. And I mean, I think that also the other super important part is the testing, which is kind of the last part of the project. I mean, if you don't test the contract, if you don't give the users the opportunity to give them your feedback about how well or bad has been your contract redesign. I mean, it's like you have done nothing, because this is like this is the proof that you are building efficient contracts, understandable documents, engaging documents, and we have to be very open to receive critique and to receive feedback. So for me, user research and user testing are things that you have to start understanding and creating. Because I mean, the visual part, you can always get some help with a graphic designer that can help you put the information in a very nice interface. But if you haven't done research, I mean, how come you're gonna address the real problems of a company?
I really love that. I did not expect this answer. I expected you would talk about design, graphic design, and
Hmm.
all of that. And I think you made a great point here, Melissa. As a legal professional, your added value is your knowledge of the laws, and and with this knowledge, going to the user to understand how they experience the traditional contract versus the digital redesign contract, and being able to work with a graphic designer to help you bring this vision to reality. I think it seems like the smartest thing to do. I mean, why would we why would we start learning how to do graphic design as legal professionals? Some of you, some of us may be interested in learning graphic design, and I'm pretty sure some of our live attendees are considering to do that, have done that in the past. I know, Melissa, you've learned a little bit about graphic design as well. But what I thought was really interesting is like it's not mandatory. You can do this without learning how to do the design yourself, but working collaboratively with someone who knows. I see we have, I think this is Isabel, who's saying, totally agree. Research and testing to collect the feedback is key when designing and delivering legal services. And to all of the live attendees like Rudolph, what are the legal head points of research in these matters? This would be really interesting to hear Melissa answer this question. But before she answers, do me a favor, please tag someone right here, right now, right below, who may need to learn about this. So we can spread the news a little bit about UX and UI. The objective for this talk is to bring some knowledge for you to be more aware of the possibilities that are available today with the new technologies and methodologies, but also to have really meaningful conversations within this community and at large, because I think there's a lot of awareness we need to bring. So make sure to share with your network. You can share wherever you are watching, on LinkedIn or on YouTube, or tag someone so we can have a really interesting conversations with each other. And by the way, at the end of this talk, I think Melissa and I, we're gonna discuss a little something we're gonna send to you as well as a reward for your live participation. It may be a checklist of some sorts for you to be able to start this journey and implement what you're learning. So stay tuned for that. Now let's go back to Melissa. Melissa, what do you think about Rudolph questions? What do we need to investigate when we do user research? Any insights?
Yeah, well, that first meeting when you have you know concreted with your client that they're gonna accept your services as a legal designer. In that first meeting, you need to understand what are the problems they're having with their current contracts. And if they don't have contracts at all, well, it should be very, very important you to understand what are their expectations. I mean, what do they want to accomplish with that contract? What is exactly the things that they need to make sure of? What are the liabilities, the limitations of responsibility, all these contracting parts that you take in account when you draft a new contract, okay? And if you're talking about an existing company that wants to redesign their whole set of digital documents, well, understand the problems they have had in the past, because there is a reason why they hire you now to redesign everything. There is something happening there, and you have to make all the necessary questions to get into that point where they give you all the information. Don't be shy to ask. I mean, you need to lose, I mean, the maybe being afraid of asking. No, in the first part, you have to ask everything. This is your moment. This is your moment to tackle all these major issues they're having. And with that information, then you're going to start defining and making like a route for your project. So this is like super, super key. I can give you some questions whenever you want. I can facilitate you with
This
those.
is great. Maybe this is where we can send some questions to use for the user research. That could be a great freebie. A freebie is a PDF that we build based on the talk and the insights from the talk to help you really get started. And we're going to send it to all of the live attendees at the end of this talk. So let's continue talking a little bit about also the mistakes to avoid. So when we design a contract, printed or digital, what are some of the common mistakes that we do that we could easily avoid using UX and UI?
I think that we don't have to take anything for granted. As I said before, the user research is such an important part, and it's going to define your success or non-success when you finish with your project. So applying UX principles trying to give the user the best experience. You can also avoid, maybe don't test in your contracts, or maybe don't work collaboratively with the programmer of the platform. Because remember, when we really sign in contracts for digital platforms, I mean, it's not only us. I mean, we have to take in account the platform, the website, familiarize with it, understand their features, ask the programmer if they can add some plugins or some applications to make your contract more visible, more interactive. So this is not a project that you can do like solo. If you have graphic design skills, it will be great, but you have to take in account always the opinion of the web programmer, because this is the guy who's going to put your ideas into the platform, and you have to work along with him during all the projects, which sometimes can take a month or two. And this is another thing that I think that we should point here, is that don't be afraid of take the time. I mean, this is not something that you can do fast. If you try to do legal design in a fast way, and you can do, you want to create this project, I mean, in a week or two, I don't think this is going to work, because it takes time to understand needs, to get familiarized, to work collaboratively. Ideation takes time. And this is all, I mean, this is what design thinking is about. Taking the time, reflect a little bit, and be a little bit, be more mindful when you're going to draft a contract, and not just go, with a rush that lawyers are always in rush. I understand it, but we have to step back, look, I mean, try to have a different perspective, and look at a contract as a project that have phases, that you have to complete phases in order to get a great outcome, which is the great results that you receive from your users.
Yes, this is wow. I really enjoyed this conversation, and the tips you just gave, really, really important. Take your time. I think this is the biggest one. This is going to take time. This is not the kind of project. Like if you're hoping to do this in a week or so, forget it. This is a completely different kind of service.
Exactly.
I mean, the legal design methodology has 5 steps. Within each of the steps, there are ideally 2 sub-steps to take, right? Which is the diverge, converge, investigate the problem, define the problem, find options, decide the best solution. And that takes time, right? So it's a completely different kind of service. Really, really interesting. Taking the time. I think working in collaboration is another big one. There's many of us that may think we can do it all alone. It will take you actually much more time if you try to do everything alone. Collaboration is key to deliver the perfect kind of contract for the digital world. So I really love those insights. And I want to encourage the audience to let us know what are the insights you like, what are the insights you also get from this talk, and what are the things you're going to start doing starting Monday? What are the things you're going to stop doing starting Monday? Maybe it would be interesting collectively to share a little bit about the strategies we're going to start implementing based on the insights Melissa is generously sharing with us all on this live talk. Now, we have talked a little bit about the mistakes to avoid. I'm pretty sure when we start using those techniques of UX and UI, so you have mentioned do user research, you have mentioned do some tests, you have mentioned work collaboratively with the tech persons in charge of the website, or the graphic designers if you work for a printed version. Now, let's imagine we are starting to use those techniques and it's going well. I'm sure there are some other kinds of challenges we get to encounter when we use those techniques, when we do user research, when we do the tests, when we do ideation, when we integrate the document on the website. So what is maybe one common challenge that you have faced in the past that you may want to share, and how do you suggest to overcome it, Melissa?
Well, I think that dealing with different mindsets have been my biggest challenge, right? Because this is something new, for at least in my country. This is something new, And while you're guiding your client to the different phases, I mean, sometimes they're very open, versus, but sometimes they are not. And you have to. This is where resilience, and tolerance and patience, as you as a designer, comes into the scenario, because it's very important for you to being able to be flexible, adapt here. I mean, actually, um, take a moment to understand what they are saying to you and to understand their expectations about the project. And don't be afraid, or don't feel bad if they don't agree with you sometimes in the different phases of the project, because this is this is common. I mean, this is natural. We're human beings. You're dealing with human beings, and human beings have different points of view. So I think that this is one of my biggest challenge. And what I always do is that I try to be more and more empathetic, trying to really take like a step back and try to look things from a different perspective, and try to understand what they are thinking in that way. I mean, it's an inner job you have to do as a legal designer, but it's something that you have to cultivate, the empathy side.
Yeah, I think this is another big one. Like the difficulties of first, I think convincing the client to go that route with you, and second, to keep them engaged on in this process that
Yes.
is new for them. I think most of clients have not used this methodology, so it's new for them. So you have to keep them engaged, you have to educate, I'm pretty sure, you have to inform, and that takes a lot of leadership. So I think leadership is a big one too, huh? The audience is sharing a little bit what insights they get, what they enjoy. So let's read a few of the insights here. And I want to encourage everyone to share, because we get to learn as well from each other. Cynthia from Los Angeles is saying she's learned that if we provide a contract for a non-legal client, make it simple. UX is more important than graphic design. I think this is another big insight.
Yeah.
The user experience is much more important than the beauty of your document. It doesn't have to be beautiful, it has to work. So that's a really good one. Taking the time and asking a lot of questions. This is Isabel. Cecilia also says being mindful, taking the time to understand the problems. Um, and so, what is one thing you would recommend for everyone who's listening, watching live, or even replay? What do you think? What is one thing you would recommend we start to do with UX and UI? What do you have some tips?
Well, yes, yes. I mean, if you want to start selling this as a service, you can take any terms of use of any platform. I suggest to choose a platform that have a traditional contract, like a black and white PDF. Just upload it in the platform. Take it. Um, Try to make research. Try to with your friends. You can actually start to create like your own survey to understand what people think of that first contract, and then use with the tools that I've been giving you, maybe you can start redesigning it and make a prototype and test it. Test it with your friends. Test it with 5 friends. You only need 5 people to test a
Mhm.
contract, and
Sure.
test it. Get results, and that way you're gonna practice. You're gonna practice doing research. You're gonna redesign a contract. So you're gonna put your visual skills in practice, and of course you're gonna will know how to perform a great user testing. So I mean, what are the odds? I mean, you don't lose anything, and you're gonna gain a lot of knowledge by doing. And also, I just wanted to add to the last question that when you get to show your client the results of this whole process that maybe they complain a little bit, when they see the product, when they see that their users are actually understanding the contract, they can actually see the value of implementing UX, UI in contracts, and they can see the value of what you are charging for it. So it's super important to keep user testing in mind. So, well, there you have. You can start redesigning, choose a typical contract, and you can actually use Google Sites. I recommend people to use Google Sites to start designing into a web. And in that way, you can show your potential users or your friends that you're gonna show your project. You can show them how they will look in the platform, how they will look online. This is a very, very intuitive tool. You don't have to need to know how to code. It's a no-coded platform, and you will have a lot of fun. I mean, you're gonna have a great time practicing.
This is great. I've shared a poll as well for everybody to be able to share three things. Any questions you have for Melissa that we did not got to talk yet? What else you would like to learn? As well as what are the insights from today, and what would happen if you were to start actually implementing? I'm all about implementation. This is the only way to learn, and this is why I really like the tip you just gave, Melissa. Just getting started, choosing a document and redesigning it. So I see here we have some additional questions in the poll. Here's the link for you. Actually, the link is right below in this chat. It would mean a lot if you were to share a little bit with us. Yeah, anything else you would like to learn? Any questions we did not get the time to address? You can click the link. It's going to open a new window. So stay with us and put your answers in the Menti poll. You can also use your phone and scan the QR code or open a new window, go to menti.com and use this code. It would mean a lot to us to also know what are the things we did not address, such as the common deliverables. This is a really interesting question. What do you think, Melissa?
I cannot read the question. It says, sorry?
The question is, what are the deliverables? What are the most common deliverables? I don't know who said this question. We need to clarify the question. The person who's live, please clarify for us. The most common deliverables, do you mean examples of redesigned contracts?
Well, I will say, like, my experience. What I do is that when I have created like a prototype, I discuss it with the client and the web programmer, and I deliver that prototype in a Google site just for them to picture in a better way how the design will look in a website, and in that way we can address our constraints from the visual part, the practical part, the designing part, and at the end, yeah, I deliver. If they want a printed form of the document, I give them a PDF. But usually, I give them digital documents, and so they can implement it in the website. And actually, on my last project, we redesigned my contract into the website. So we bring the whole visual part, the whole graphic part into the website. It was a very, very extensive work, but it actually went very, very well.
This is amazing. Please let us know what you are learning, because we want to get to know what you've learned. What are the questions you have? So Melissa and I can get to work on this free PDF we want to send to you. But to send it to you, we need to know what are the additional questions you may have we didn't answer. Maybe, what else you would like to learn, what you've learned so far, so we can make sure this PDF is going to be useful. If you don't let us know, it would be difficult for us to prepare something that's going to be useful. So you have the link in the chat. We have only one answer. I think we can do better. So tell us a little bit, Melissa, do you have some ideas as to, based on what we have learned so far from the audience? I'm adding here the Juliana, who's actually sharing here about She understands that UX and graphic design are two tools that work very well together. One without the other ends up not using the real potential. This is such a great comment. Really love this. UX and graphic design are tools that works together. If we don't use any of them, we're gonna miss the potential. This is great. I see Isabel is thanking also for the live. Please, please, please. We still have one answer in this poll. I don't think we can send you useful information if you don't share with us what else you would like to learn. So use the poll, or if you don't know how to use the poll, just share in the chat. Just share with us. It would mean a lot to us. Thank you for your participation. Now, Melissa, let's go back to you. What do you think about Juliana's comment on UX and graphic design?
Well, yeah, definitely. As I said before, the interface design field has to do with all the visual part and the interactive part. And when we refer to visual, of course, we're talking about graphic design and all those tools that we use, which are like understanding how typography works, understanding how color contracts works, and all these psychology color thing. Those are super, super necessary, and they are like a part of UX design at the end. They are like a whole. I see it as a whole, as a holistic process that focus in different sides. So at the end, you get to give users the best experience reading your contract or your document or your policy.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm encouraging everybody to share. I see Cynthia say she has learned, Google site. Google site is very good. You can even use PowerPoint. I have done prototypes on PowerPoints, and even like adding some interactions in the PowerPoint just by clicking. You show the presentation and you kind of simulate the interaction by having your mouse move on the bottom, and then it goes to the next slide. So that's another creative and smart way to actually show a prototype as well on the prototype. I think Cynthia says she's UX and UI all together works well. This is amazing. Please, please, please let us know about your insights, because with Melissa we want to share with you a free PDF. We all already had some ideas about a checklist we could send to you. Melissa, do you have some additional ideas given the conversations we've had today, and given as well the feedback from the live audience?
Well, maybe what I would like to say is that yes, implementing UX and UI in the digital contracting world is actually one of the most powerful tools that we can make a use of as lawyers, because we have to blend into the platform. Yeah, it's a legal part, but you can actually design something that can be a continuation of that website and looks beautiful and is usable and is efficient at the same time. So maybe if you really like this topic, I will suggest just to start reading about user experience and user interaction and user interface design, because you will notice that there are some principles, some engineering principles that we need to understand to accomplish this great experience. Because remember, we are designing for a platform, different if we are redesigning for a printed document. When we redesign for platforms, as I said, we need to blend, and in order to blend, we need to comply with those engineering principles. So if you really like this path, I suggest you to start. There's a lot of bibliography online that you can actually download to start. Maybe I can, in the PDF, in the freebie that we're gonna send, maybe I can put you some suggestions of books that you can. Yes.
Yeah, I actually have some ideas for the PDF. I was thinking, how about what do you guys think? How about a kickstart checklist, like a kickstart list for you to get started on your UX and UI journey, to really start, or if you're already doing it, to continue and do it in a more professional way with a kickstart list. Would you like to receive this? If yes, well, it's very simple. You just let us know in the chat by sending us an email. So we have your name and we can actually get to send it to you, because the chat, there's a lot of things on LinkedIn, and if it goes in the mailbox, we have it, and then we send to you this freebie with Melissa. Melissa is going to prepare it, and I'm going to be just here to make sure that it gets delivered to you. Hey, Melissa, that was so great to have this conversation with you today. There's a lot of things I enjoyed from the conversation. First, I really enjoyed what you have said today about how we can use the design techniques to create a better experience by doing the research first with the users, and of course having a really transparent, honest, and productive conversation with the client. I think this even comes first from what I heard from what you have shared today, having this conversation with the client to get to know what's the objective, what are we trying to achieve with this new digital document or with the redesign of the document. I think this is really, really important. Then doing the test, of course, working in collaboration with the technologists and the graphic designers to really be able to manifest this vision using your creativity. And this is why ideation is also so important. So if the checklist would be awesome for you, oh, I see Isabel is a checklist nerd. Please write to us an email right now to hello@legocreatives.com and just say, hey, I'm live. I'd like to have the checklist. So we have already you kind of in our system, and so we can send it to you. So it's going to be easier for us to actually deliver this freebie, which we're going to work. Melissa is going to prepare it, and I'm going to make sure you're going to receive it from her. And that would be phenomenal. Any last words, any last thing we didn't discuss today, Melissa? Any last tips you would like to share with the audience?
Well, get started. I mean, this is like my last thing that I would like you to know. I mean, if you don't get started, you'll never know how great it is to work in this field, and you will actually prove yourself that you can. I think that this is very, very important for a legal designer who is starting and want to grow his confidence. Get started. Get started. Do your research. Draw the prototype. Ask for help if you don't know how to. Test it, and you will tell me something when you finish your process. And actually, if you would like to share with me your process sometime, you want to ask me some questions about your project, I will be happy to help you.
Yes, I love that. And I really appreciate the live attendees, Cynthia, who's saying great talk. If you would like your freebie, again, send an email now to hello@legocreatives.com. The reason that I'm asking for you to send the email is if you don't, we have to go back and each LinkedIn profile, find your email, send it to you. It's going to take a lot of time. Instead, please just don't be shy. Send us an email, hello@legocreatives.com. So we already have your email. We don't need to try to figure out how to send the material to you. Some of the live attendees are hidden because of the system, so we don't even know who you are. This is why, please let us help you by sending an email right now saying, I'm live, I'd like the freebie from Melissa. And one last thing, maybe before we go, it's Friday, it's almost the weekend. I wanted to share something because when I listened to you talk, Melissa, saying one of the most difficult and challenging thing as a legal designer or a legal professional who's using those tools is the mindset. And you mentioned it's difficult. People are not always aligned. They don't always understand. And this morning I found this image in the community portal of Lego Creatives. We have a new community portal. We are testing it now with our users. And I found this really cool image from Olivia. What comes to your mind when you see this? Isn't it a good summary of what we have discussed so far?
Of course.
What do you see, Melissa, here in this image?
Well, I see a 9 and a 6 actually, because I am in the center. But I do get it, and it's exactly the way it happens with legal design. I mean, you could not say it better. But this is the fascinating part of it. I mean, to get to know people's points of view. I mean, this is for me. This is great. Like, this is the best part of my job ever. To get to know people, understand them. This is it's great.
This is amazing. And by the way, if there's anyone who would like to onboard on the new community portal of Lego Creatives, this is what it looks like. We've been using it with a few members. So far, they've been pretty happy. So we may continue to use it. We are also testing. We're also testing, making sure it fits your needs. So if you want to have an invite and test it, just let us know. It would be a pleasure to onboard you on the community platform. So you can get to, well, stay in touch with Melissa, who's on the platform too, get to ask her some follow-up questions and get to meet even more members in the community, or just community members who are there and curious, want to know more. So Melissa, I had such a great time. I want to thank you so, so much for your time today and also for the work you're doing. I think this is a very, very innovative approach. I believe there are not many legal professionals who are taking that path. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot more in the future. And it's great that we've been able today to learn with you and from your experience how to get started to make those digital contracts much better for clients and for users and for lawyers. Because at the end of the day, it's also about making, being proud of the work that is being delivered, because it really makes a difference when we use this. So thank you once again, Melissa, for being here today and for the work you do. If you want to connect with Melissa, you can also find Melissa on LinkedIn. Is there another way to connect with you, Melissa, for people to continue the conversation beyond the community portal we just shared? What is one best way to connect with you?
Okay, yeah. I'll be very happy to receive your connections, your questions. You can find me at Melissa Saucedo in LinkedIn, or you can find me at hello.innovativelaw.com, and I will be happy to talk to you about legal design. I mean, I love the legal design, so it will be my pleasure. And thank you, Tessa, for this invitation. I am happy to have the opportunity to share with you a little bit of my experience and my insights. I hope this helped you, and I hope that you feel more encouraged to start if you haven't. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. This is so great. I love this collaboration we're having. Juliana says she wants to be invited on the platform. Again, send me a short email and we're going to onboard you right away on the platform using your email so we can onboard you there. It's been phenomenal. I've enjoyed this conversation so much. We have a lot of, I feel very lucky to be with you all today on this Friday to really get to talk about those really important topics. And I can't wait for all of us to tune in back on Wednesday and Friday next week. We're going to keep doing those talks because I think they bring a lot of value to the community and to anyone who's interested. And so before we go, I may just take a few moments to just show you who are the speakers that will talk about such great things. Isabel was there last week. Isabel was with us today on the live as well, which is so incredible. And so let me just share before we go. And Melissa, thank you once again. I'll see you backstage in just a moment.
Great. Thank you all.
And so I want to share briefly before we go. That was the talk by Melissa Saucedo. Wasn't it amazing? The work she's doing is really fantastic. So I want to just show you here. That was Melissa Saucedo from Panama on the topic of UX UI for digital contracts. On Wednesday, we will have Kim Wright, who's going to talk about advocating for legal systems change. It's going to happen on this same place, on LinkedIn, on my profile. And you're going to learn a little bit of the amazing and even outstanding work of Kim Wright. So if you'd like to advocate for more awareness, more consciousness, a new paradigm. I think you're going to learn a lot from Kim, right? We'll have also Julian Cornelius come talk about plain language communication strategies next Friday. Plain language is a really, really important tool for anyone who wants to use legal design and draft contracts differently in a way that is more engaging for users to find information, to understand information, to use information. So make sure to come to watch this talk with Julian. We'll have Anna, who is the famous legal information designer from Amsterdam, Anna Postumus Marius. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. So Anna, if you're hearing me, I hope you forgive me and train me so I can do a better job next time. She's going to talk about legal information design. She's doing such a great job with her boutique firm at redesigning contracts. So a little bit in the same spirit as today, but Anna is really more focused on the graphic portion for printed documents. So I think this is going to be a great complementary to what you guys have learned today. We're going to have Olga Mack, who's going to talk about her great work with Notes to My Legal Self, the initiative she started a few years ago to start taking visual notes about, what she's going through when she's working as a legal professional and how she got to find her creativity, use her creativity. And I think Olga Mack has a phenomenal profile. You're going to learn a lot from her personal and professional journey and reflections. We're going to have Marty Firestone talk about simplifying legal ops and legal docs. This is great for in-house lawyers. Marty has been in-house for years. He's now doing a great work as a external kind of legal counsel and consultant, helping really design better documents and better operations. That was Marty's article. If you want a little sneak peek, Marty's article is available there. And that's it. That's what we have lined up for everybody. I hope this is going to bring a lot of value to you. If yes, well, come back on Wednesdays and Fridays and tell your network, tell your friends. The reason why I'm saying it's so important to share is because this is so new. We need to build awareness together, and we need to also engage people in the conversation. And so this is why I encourage you to share, not just because it's good for my LinkedIn. I don't really care about that. What I care is about this transformation. I care about having, us all co-create and change the paradigm. And we cannot do this alone. So this need to be much more, many more of us involved. And as a last call to action, if there's anyone who would like to join the new community portal at Legal Creatives and test it, just send us an email, hello@Legal Creatives. You'll get the freebie as well and an invitation to access the community portal to engage with other community members from all around the world. Thank you so much for being here. It was great to learn today with you all. Thanks to our guest, Melissa. And I'll see you next Wednesday. And probably before that for many of you. So thank you for being here, and we'll talk soon. Let's ignite the creative spark.